Today on the Esports Meta.
I want you to be aware, though, it does sound derogatory when you're like, do you guys just sit on the couch and play your Xbox? Bikinis for cars? Let's go.
Let's go. Yo, do you see that V8?
No drop tops here.
Welcome to the Esports Meta, your stop for all video game news and esports competition happening this week. I'm your host, Billy Sims, about to bring you some of our favorite topics, some really juicy ones this week. We'll be talking about the War Within's first raid, which means their first race to world first. The usual competitors are involved, but we've got a whole primer of information, classes, specs, what to expect from this raid and this race. It's a very exciting thing to watch. It was really exciting in the last raid of Dragonflight, a Midrasa. We'll go over those details and we'll have all the breakdown coming up later. We'll also be talking about Overwatch Championship Series. Stage 4 is going to kick off. So get you updated on some points and what to look forward to next week. And then also Worlds for Rocket League. We're watching it this weekend with you. Are you guys watching it? It's been fun. We'll talk about that a little bit and what to expect. And we'll recap some scores where we can, how we can. And finally, League of Legends Worlds is also coming up in about a week or two. We have a bit more information on that, a little bit of insight about what to expect. So we'll be talking about that briefly. But to talk about all these amazing topics, I need to bring in somebody who's very informed, very handsome, and very funny. Nicholas Layton. Nick, how you doing today?
I didn't expect you to call me handsome. Lay off, bro. I'm married. Okay?
I'm saying it as a friend, man. I'm saying it as a friend, okay?
All right, yeah, no, it's all good though. Thanks for the compliment. Yeah, no, I'm doing good. I'm doing
just trying to glaze you up, grease you up, get you in the mood to talk about some esports here.
I can't wait until I'm doing bad so I can say something besides like doing great. Yeah, doing great.
Right. Can't be good all the time. You got to take the highs with the lows, the wins with the losses. But, you know, that's just how the game goes. Right. So let's get into it. The first thing I really wanted to talk about, but like this is more of a conversational feel here. Did you see the news from Sony this week, Nick, about PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation Pro coming out?
I saw the PlayStation Pro, what it looked like. And it looks like a giant cat, like made into an electronic. So it's got nice whiskers on it, but no, I haven't seen anything else for it.
Yeah. This was something that came across the whole video game community pretty fast, pretty urgently, and it was just instantly memed upon. $700 first and foremost, before scalpers, before Best Buy decides to adjust prices like they did with the original PS5 release. But then also they're trying to like tout it being the next evolution in gaming or an upgrade to your gaming experience. And I don't know, man, people were memeing on it where it's like side-by-side comparison, Ratchet and Clank versus Ratchet and Clank. It was not much of a difference. And
who's memeing on it?
What's that?
Who's memeing on it? Who's memeing on it? For real? Like,
it's just your average video game user online. Some of the people who are in the know, but I don't disagree with them, man. Looking at those side by sides, looking at some of the videos that they had in the release announcement, it doesn't look like there's a difference.
Yeah. So yeah, you probably won't notice the difference, but I don't like. Of course, we're not gonna buy it. Like we're sitting here on computers, bro. Like yeah, we can dog on the Sony thing, but anybody who bought a PS4, why not buy PS4 Pro? Why not buy the PS5 Pro? Why not? You did it anyway. Like it's the same upgrade back too. Like it's always just a little meager upgrade, right?
Right. And like the way consoles have been going overall too has been like a sort of sense of emulation of the PC. 360 was being emulated on the Xbox One to play the games. PlayStation has been emulating some older Sony games. You know, just that in and of itself is emulation. But then, of course, what the consoles are doing, they're trying to be an all-in-one entertainment package so you can put on your couch. But like, it doesn't seem as worth it to a lot more degrees that it used to be. And like, they're just becoming computers more and more, except they're computers you play from your couch. And like, great, you're going to watch Netflix. Are you going to watch Netflix on a $700 box?
No, but you know, I might, because maybe my PlayStation 5 Pro might be voice activated, but at least my controller has a battery in it. Like it has a lithium battery in it versus like, oh, I guess I got to go down the Walgreens and get some double A's again. My Xbox controller's out. But you know, no, I'm not going to do that.
Well, for the $50 upgrade, you can add a rechargeable battery to your Xbox controller. But yeah, that's a lot of this. It just feels just like you're paying so much. Oh, side note, another thing to sort of meme on is that $700 PlayStation 5 Pro would then need a $100 stand to stand up to hold it in a place. So again, speaking about accessories, it's just the trend of how stuff are going in consoles. I don't know. I'm not going to yuck somebody's yum if they prefer sitting on the couch playing, watching Netflix, I mean, from their Xbox or their PlayStation. But man, that's all it seems I do with those these days.
I mean, so like, you know, the Xbox is great. The Xbox and PlayStation are wonderful devices in my home. They make really good DVD players in case I want to watch some like old school DVDs.
Dude, I need a Blu-ray player. Yeah, give me an Xbox.
I'm not even joking with you, dude. I got the most expensive Xbox right now. Sitting there is a glorified Paw Patrol game and DVD player. All right, like that's what that piece of crap does, and it's not even a piece of crap. It's just not good enough. Like they've never been good enough. Like, yeah. Anyway, but yeah, you know, it's a console. And if you thought that like they've been 500 for their like upgraded models since what 2017, right? Yeah. $500 at least 2017. So we're talking 7 years, and it went up $200. Like, you know, come off of it. Everything else is expensive too, bro. Like everything's expensive. Yeah. Everybody's.
I know some people. Some people are arguing about inflation and the prices of chips going up, etc. too. But like, it just feels bad because like, if you already have this $500 thing, if you got it for $500 before scalpers, if you were able to grab it from the whole exclusivity issue, now, you know, a couple years later to upgrade again. And like, of course, the answer is don't upgrade. You don't need to. So, you know, we know how this plays out, but we want to know what you guys think. If you're a gamer, if you like your consoles, you like sitting on the couch, playing your PlayStation, your Xbox, Switch even, are you looking to play PlayStation 5 Pro? Are you going to buy that? Let us know in the comments. Let us know on our social medias. Hit us up, follow, subscribe at the Esports Meta. We're always interested in talking about this, and we want to know what the people think. Because I think we've already given out what we thought. That's pretty much it.
It's true. I do want you to be aware, though. It does sound derogatory when you're like, do you guys just sit on the couch and play your Xbox? Honestly, sounds a little messed.
That's what I find myself doing, though. Like with my Xbox, I played Psychonauts 2, the last thing I played on my Xbox, and then I've watched Netflix on it. I watched a football game on it last night on Amazon. So it's like a streaming box at this point. So I'm wondering, do you guys do the same or you do something different? Let us know, you know, what do you use your consoles for? Is it for gaming or is it a glorified DVD player? Let us know, of course. And if you thought that was condescending, let me know down in the comments too. Give one to me. I deserve it. Hey. Billy here. Wanted to take a quick minute to let you know a few different things. If you enjoyed the video so far, please consider liking and subscribing. It really helps us out and it tells the algorithm to share it with more people. You can find the Esports Meta live every week on Twitch and YouTube. It's where we film the podcast or hang out, play games, and chat. If social media is more your vibe, check us out on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, or Twitter if you use Threads. Does anybody use Threads? This is a video game community that's excited to talk about esports, so jump into the conversation. Of course, you can find more videos like this here on YouTube. Just hit that subscribe button right there or there. Thanks for watching, and let's get back to the show. All right, so with that note, let's move into our first topic. It's going to be OWCS. Stage 4 is coming up on us fast. It's the last stage of the inaugural season of Overwatch Championship Series. We're getting to the final bracket, but we have a points update for you. So let me bring that up here on the screen just to kind of solidify who's doing what right now, what to expect. And we've got it breakdown for NA and EMEA. Is a lot of what we were talking about last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, when we were doing our recap of the last tournament for stage 3. Toronto Defiant leading North America with 1250 points, almost double NRG Shock as second place, almost triple Nightmare in third place. Toronto Defiant has been far and away the number one team in North America, getting those points, also getting that prize money, which we discussed, 90 grand for 3 tournament wins feels kind of weak. And like they'll probably be walking away with a fourth one. But by these points, it seems that it's anybody's game. Anybody could really come in and compete and really push for this. But Toronto Defiant will be playing spoiler in search for that last first place prize to collect all the Infinity Stones for this season. Then over in EMEA, ENCE Space Station, kind of a tighter match. These two have been 1 and 2 neck and neck the entire time, back and forth. Virtus Pro coming in as a third place, almost double the points. But the spread here isn't that far apart. We can see Virtus easily come back, knock up to first place or second place with a win here. And they were looking strong in the last tournament. Then we have a couple of familiar faces, but the point spread equally competitive, but like less of like a dark horse sort of mentality. Nick, between these two brackets and this point system, you have anything to say? What do you think about what you see here? Because this is the most updated thing. We talked about the prize pool, but then we also talk about the competition now as we're getting into stage 4 that's starting next week.
Right. All right. So I always say this, right? Grain of salt whenever I speak about Overwatch, right? Because I'm just a goofy plat player, right? Maybe diamond. If we were to just strictly look at NA, right? Like the easiest thing that can go wrong for a lot of these teams is to strictly concentrate on all of your scrimming and all of your practice to be about the Toronto Defiant. That's basically like just looking at this number. Like if you concentrate too hard on Toronto Defiant, like you're just literally going to miss so much. And you probably need to actually like prep.
Yeah. That might be an interesting point because this last stage could be just a lottery. It's whoever rolls into Toronto Defiant, they're just done, right? Whoever gets lucky and doesn't roll into them, or Nightmare, Energy Shock, who seem to have had an answer to them previously, they might be able to say something else, but who knows what's going to happen because now Juno is going to be a part of this section, this stage. And we're going to see some patch changes coming up this Tuesday, and that's going to shake up the meta. Also, side note, we're seeing in the APAC region, Nick, I'm not sure if you heard this part, but there's a armor bug where 2 instances of armor application, Ramatra normally has armor. He goes into big arm punchy man. He gets more armor. So that's 2 instances of armor application. The bug is that it's basically cutting damage down twofold. And you're seeing that bug happen for like Brig, Torb, as well as Ramatra. And all you're seeing in APAC is like a Brig Ramatra comp coming through. Something that shouldn't work, but because of the extra armor damage reduction, how strong armor is in general, they're able to run these things. And like people are hoping that bug gets fixed on Tuesday, which might shake up the entire season 12 meta already 2.5 weeks in plus, right? So
dude, that's super interesting, actually. Based on what you just said, as something that's unlikely, right? Unlikely to happen with those 2 champions like linking together, right, in game. Here's what I'll say. It's going to get fixed, and then it's going to get patched back into the game. I'm not even joking. Like, okay. Is it that, like, I'm not even joking. Like, it'll get put back into the game because they'll see it as like a new flavor. There's something that they have to add into the game. And is it like, besides the overall reduction of the damage that's going on, is it all that unhealthy for the game? You know? No,
that's a great question. Yeah, that's a great question because generally speaking too, like it could be just like, you know, the comp happening, like that Ramatra style of brawl with Brig is fine, but it might be just too low healing. With Juno, it might enable him to kind of zoom around a little bit more and might be able to sustain enough healing so that you can do it. Because traditionally, Brig Lucio isn't a great healing duo because it's just not enough healing for tanks and whatnot, even at the pro level. But then you have like a Zen Brig was infamous in Overwatch 1 as being a great duo combo, even though they're low healing. So, you know, we might see something change. We might say implement it again. Maybe they like it. Maybe they change the armor. But I think to answer your question too, armor is just too strong. And that's point in case shown by D.Va. D.Va's in every single game. And it's really frustrating to see like some of these bad D.Vas just into backlines and get away with it because like they're Superman. They're just made of titanium, flying through all the team, taking no damage because how strong armor is, and half of her health points are armor. But we are expecting a Diva nerf coming up. We are expecting some other changes coming up, but those changes might be integral to the competition this stage for Overwatch Champions Series, and we'll kind of see. Nick, if you were to give a team other than Toronto, other than ENCE and Space Station, making a really good run here, who would it be? Just kind of like a shot in the dark prediction before we go move on.
I mean, all right, so let's talk about Timeless and Twisted Minds, right? I feel like they have like some nice potential just in general. Not that they're like, going to burst through or anything like that, but like, if things click, like I could see Twisted Minds and Timeless doing relatively decent.
Right, just the meta kind of falling into their laps a little bit. They both have made some great plays and great runs earlier this year, but both have had some difficulties otherwise as well. So like this could be a good time, and then that's a fair shot in the dark. If you have any other ideas out there, if you're watching, let us know. Who do you think might be the dark horse for this competition before seeing anything happen, before seeing the patch notes, etc.? What team do you think is going to make a great run, is going to make that last point push so they can get into DreamHack Stockholm overall? A lot of fun to watch. I'm excited to see. I was going to do a little bit of a breakdown for Overwatch Championship, but I don't think we need to. But I do want to talk, and I think we do need to talk about Rocket League. I've been watching Rocket League this week. The World Championship has been happening for the last couple of days. If we were filming this on Tuesday, like our normally scheduled programming is, we'd be priming you what to expect coming up as the tournament was just starting. But we're 3 days in. We're 3 days into this tournament, and there's been some great games. And I still want to prime you on what to watch, where to watch it, etc. So we're going to go into that. But man, Nick, have you gotten to watch any of the Rocket League World Championship?
Only a little bit, man. And honestly, I tuned in at like the wrong time because I was like, yeah, things are popping off and I'm going to just walk away. I couldn't follow like as soon as I got into it. I was like, just started in the thick of a thing. So I'm just not going to. No, I'm out.
Right. I got to catch a couple games. One of my favorite games I watched was Team Oxygen versus Carmine Corp, K Corp. It went to overtime, best of 5. It was really exciting how back and forth that game was. The advantages, the mind game, some of the technicalities. And we've talked about this before too, Nick. Rocket League seems like the kind of game where you're playing a fighting game in a soccer game. Like the way they are able to control those cars is just wild, dude. It's just absolutely wild. But I think we lost you on screen here real quick. I can see you in Skype, but you're in tiny mode. So I'm just going to monologue here for a second while we get internet back on that. And generally speaking, I'll run you through what the World Championship is, the primer. Direct from the website, the primer started on Tuesday the 10th, is going to the 15th. Right. They're going to be competing for $1.1 million, and they'll be battling out in Texas, Fort Worth, Dickies Arena. What is it? It's the World Championship, and it's pretty much training here. This is a culmination of everything that's happened all year for Rocket League. All the points, all the wins, all the losses. Brought the invites, brought the teams, brought the competition to here. They'll be competing on YouTube, TikTok, and Twitch. You can watch it there. The streams will be live. I caught a couple games on Twitch. Like I said, Team Oxygen versus K Corp, Carmine Corp. It was a wonderful game. Even if you don't know what's going on, you'll know what's going on. It's pretty easy to follow, but for those who know, it's just so much better. The teams that are competing this year, we've got... man, I can't see some of these. I'm going to bring us down. From Asia Pacific to APAC region, we have the Gladiators. From Europe, we have Gentle Mapes. I do believe I missaid that again, but we've Gentle Mates. They have won previously on a major earlier this year, and that was another chance in time that I struggled with saying that. Just something about it. Anyway. Also from Europe, Team BDS. They just won EWC, I think, Esports World Cup. Team Vitality, Carmine Corp, Oxygen Esports, also from Europe. Then from MENA, Team Falcons, Middle East. Glad to see that name, that representation again. We saw a lot of that at Esports World Cup. From North America, we've got G2, we've got Gen G, OG, and Space Station. And then Oceania, Quick Trip, PWR Power. South America, we have Furia, Team Secret, and then Sub-Saharan Africa, we have Limitless. Nick, are you with us again?
What?
And
I'm with you.
do you have any sort of contribution as far as the teams go? You could be looking out for any specific team or whatnot.
No, like Rocket League is literally one of those games that I literally don't know enough about the players. I know more about the orgs, and like everybody's crazy good at this game. Like this is probably one of the more exciting esports to like watch just in general. It's easy to follow. It looks amazing. Granted, you don't know exactly like what's happening, but I don't no idea what's going on with this. You can just follow it really easily. It's super nice to actually like watch and everything like that. So even though I was joking earlier about how I got lost in the sauce, but no, it's super fun to watch. Cars playing soccer. It's super like I can't wait for Rocket League 3 Transformers.
Right, dude. It's one of those games that has a very low skill floor. Even just to watch, you can hop into it, you can start playing, but the skill ceiling is just incredible. Some of the things you can do between flip resets, how you manage your boosts, and then the team play aspect, the strategy of it. So there's a lot happening here, and we're going to see how that develops as they continue through the rounds. And I'm just going to quick break down the format. On Tuesday was the Swiss rounds. It was best of 5. They play around with the groups. Going to Swiss round 2 and 3, we're seeing the finale of Swiss today, and that's where we're going to start getting the cream of the crop for the bracket here. Knockouts are happening today. Tomorrow, officially tiebreaker matches are going to happen with some best of 7s tomorrow, and then on Sunday we're going to start seeing our elimination matches into our finals and grand finals. That's one I'm going to be watching for sure. If the games are anything as exciting as the couple that I've caught, and they're only going to escalate in excitement, it's going to be a ton of fun to watch. And like I said, you could watch it on all the official channels for Rocket League, between Twitch, between YouTube and TikTok. They'll be broadcasting through that for the most part. All right. And they do, this is an international game, of course, and the international games are going to have international representation. We saw how many teams are coming from all the different regions, which is great, but they're also going to support those regions with a broadcast. They've got French, if you can speak French, Spanish in the Americas, Spanish in Europe, Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese, as well as Spain's Portugal Portuguese, and then Polish, Hungarian, Sub-Saharan African, which I'd be interesting what the broadcasters there, if they multi-language or if they choose one, etc. And then they have Japanese going specifically, I believe, to a broadcaster. Right. And of course, at the end here, they're selling some bundles, but we don't really need to take a look at that. We've got everything pretty much straightforward on that. So there's a breakdown of the format, what to expect, where to watch it. There's a lot happening from there. I want to actually just bring us into some of the scores if you're ready for it. Otherwise, want to kind of tap in on anything so far, Nick?
No, not really. Like, I was going to say something about the bundle, but we can just skip it.
The fortunate thing about the bundle with Rocket League is that it is aesthetic. It isn't power level. It isn't, and like conversations could be had about value. There's been some controversy in the past about how they sell the bundles, how much it costs, what they give you. It's not very exciting. It's kind of repetitive. Yeah, with Rocket League, some players have complained, but I'm sure that's also the kind of complaints that a lot of players have with a lot of different games. Not to minimize it, but what were your thoughts with the bundle here?
I was just wondering what was in the bundle for them. That's all. That was it. Like, that's all.
The simplest of questions here. The simplest of questions. And that could be easily answered. So let's bring it back up. To celebrate the biggest event in Rocket League's year, we're releasing a World Championship Mega Bundle in the Rocket League in-game shop. The bundle enters the Rocket League shop on September 9th and contains the following items: Win Column Wheels, Hot Streak Decal, Tesseract Goal Explosion, and Tech Ray Boost. I think I've seen the Tesseract Goal Explosion because I think of one of the players who was playing in the couple of games that I saw had it. And it kind of cool. It brings everything to like a black screen with everything's like line vectors, and like it looks very like Tron. So I think that might be the one. So it was pretty solid as a animation, but you got to score a goal to see it. You got to get that value.
Yeah, right. You got to be good to use these things you paid for. That's funny. That's sick.
Right. And if you're watching on Twitch, I believe they have some Twitch fan rewards. I'm not sure what that entirely means, but I'm assuming that's like Twitch.
Yeah, it's just
watch
drops.
Rewards. Drops, yeah.
Right?
Beach
Drops.
Party Goal Explosion. I think the Beach Party one was a previous bundle thing that they had earlier this year. And login rewards.
Let's go.
Let's go. Car bikinis.
That's right.
Yo, do you see that V8?
No drop tops here. Anyway.
Before it gets creepy, before we get cringe, that's what you can check out for watching. That's what you can get if you're interested in buying. But you got to win to use that, that one goal. What goal celebration? I forgot the word for a second. You gotta score those goals to get one of those goal celebrations. All right. Nick, I'm going to bring us into scores, a little bit of a recap, because we're coming in the middle of this tournament. If we were normal schedule, we'd be prepping you for the beginning. But since we're 4 days in, we can see what some of these teams have been doing, how they've been doing, what they've been playing and scoring, records, etc. So let's bring us up to that. Just a quick breakdown as we're talking of Swiss rounds 1, 2, and 3, who they played, what their record is. For the most part, I'm going to be just focusing on their records, the matches they played, the games they've won, and the goal differentials here. We can take a look at the specificalities, but I think this could be better suited when we hit the bracket stage later on in this narrative, in this story. All right. So it looks like G2 and Team Falcons are currently sitting on top, tied 1-2 with goal differential and the same record of 3-0. They, wide variety of different teams, different groups were able to come out on top of their groups pretty dominantly. They're definitely in. You've got Furia Esports, Carmine Corp, and Team BDS sitting at 3-2. 3-1. Missaw that. With a +6 for Furia and Carmine, tied for 3rd and 4th. And then Team BDS, a former EWC champion, with a +4 differential. Gentle Mates, a previous major, sitting at major winner, sitting at position 6 right now in the tournament, 3-2 record, going the distance, 8-11 games total. So a lot of best ofs, hitting that full range of games there, and a +3 differential. Oxygen as well as Space Station, bringing us into 7th and 8th, and as your top 8 teams there. It's looking pretty solid. I think these are the ones that are competing to make sure they get in, or these might be the ones that are currently getting in. We'll see how that kind of plays out the rest of today and any sort of tie-breaking matches tomorrow. Then in the bottom half, Team Vitality, Power, Quick Trip, Genji, OG, Team Secret, Limitless, and Gaming Gladiators, all with losing records, not quite breaking it out. Team Vitality might be the most heartbreaking, going 11-11 through matches, but then ultimately losing in just the wrong spot. Coulda, shoulda, woulda kind of moment. All right. Then, some of these other teams, Power, Quick Trip, also going 8-11, 8-12. Games that are going the distance, like really playing it out pretty far, but like not quite making it. And then the rest of the teams kind of having a bit of a disappointing showing, not able to make magic happen, not able to get on a hot streak ahead and push those goals in and get that celebration going.
It's definitely rough bottom half of that, for sure.
For sure. And like these are the top teams in the world. This is the World Championship for 2024. These teams have competed at a high level throughout the year. They acquired the points, they got the invitations, and they're here. And so it's a bit heartbreaking that they're not able to perform on this trip, on this competition, the way they would hope to and want to. Getting, some of the Gaming Gladiators getting 3-0'd by Team Falcons. By OG.
Sometimes you just don't get there, man. Sometimes you don't get there. It doesn't work out for you on the day.
Right. And this could easily have been just like you were in the group of death, right? You're in some of the best teams, the teams that are hot right now, the teams that are just making it happen. And it kind of seems like that was possibly the case for Gaming Gladiators, like Team Falcons just annihilating that. Then Oxygen Esports also really strong. They went the distance, like I said, with K Corp really making it happen, but then also getting 3-0'd by OG, who's also been knocked out. It was OG's only win. Only winner. That's a shame. But yeah, tough pickings here. Best of luck to these gentlemen, these players next season, these organizations, these teams. We hope to see you next year. I hope to see more from you. etc. But now is probably going to be the time, especially this bottom half, you're going to bow out. We're not going to see more. But as far as looking here, Nick, I know we haven't really watched a lot of games. I know you haven't really had a lot of insight on player history, etc. Especially with something like Rocket League, it's tough to follow some of the acquisitions and the trades. But then sometimes you have some of these players who can just make it and make it last, go on a hot streak, etc. Make those plays that look fantastical while they're playing their fighting game. But just from an organizational perspective, who do you see kind of doing well? We have the numbers in front of us that make us a little biased, but do you see, anything specific do you want to see, and any teams that you see like making a really strong push coming forward in the last half of this tournament?
I didn't so again, I didn't watch these, right? But like looking at this, it looks like it's pretty fair for like the top 8, right? Like not like fair, but like there's a high tier, there's a low tier in the top 8, but they're not too far from each other, right? Like I don't think G2 and Team Falcons really like they go 9, like they're 9-2, right? Like they are like losing. They're mortal, right? So like you can take them down. It just shows that they're not so far away from Space Station Gaming, who's only +1. That is a +6 differential, but everybody can really make has some room to grow and room to move up. We'll say
absolutely. And there's some questions still involved here, which is what makes this healthy too. Is like it could be based on what teams that they played. Playing a stronger team, playing a weaker team. Those little things can make that difference, and we might see that sort of pan out differently in the last half of the bracket. I do agree with you. This is a very competitive looking bracket, looking tournament. These records are showing that these teams are in it. They're playing. They're competitive. They're pushing forward to try to find that win. And sometimes that's what you got to do. Rather than just being perfect, you got to find a way. You just need to win. You need to find that W and push forward through all the adversity, through all the friction, and make it happen. And it seems like these teams are doing that so far in this tournament. Will they drop the ball? Who knows? Will they be able to get that flip set? Who knows? Ton of questions coming forward, but that's why we're going to watch. And it's definitely going to be a great tournament for this world champion. It already is, but I know moving forward into the championship part of the bracket here, the finals, the grand finals, we're going to be loving it. Nick, any final takeaways on Rocket League before we move on?
You need to be more cheesy with Rocket League. Like, they're running out of gas. Like nobody, come on, man.
I was going to say, you got to gas me up, man. You got to put some jet fuel in there.
More cringe. More cringe from you.
We are free. If you want to buy us into announcers, we'd love to do it. But really looking forward to this, the rest of this tournament, and really excited for it. And if you're excited too, of course, let us know your thoughts. Who do you think is going to win? Who are you rooting for? Which team is your diehard stand, right? Where are you going at on this one? Let us know in the comments. Let us know on our socials. We're everywhere where you'll find it. All your favorite social media at the Esports Meta. We just want to talk about video games, and hopefully you guys do too. Also, if you like what we're doing right now, hit subscribe. It's free. It's easy. Hit like. It helps us out a ton. It gets the algorithm going, lets them know, hey, these guys, they're pretty good. And I think that somebody else should watch it too.
Don't put words in their mouth.
I'm talking about the algorithm, man. I'm not talking about these guys. If you guys agree, let the algorithm know by hitting like, subscribe, all that internet stuff. It really helps.
If you don't like us, let us know too, I guess. That's fine too.
Yeah, hit us up in the comments. I did see something kind of cool, Nick, the other day, and I thought, it'd be interesting. I don't know how we would implement it here, but like one of my favorite creators, he does this thing called Secret Time, where it's like, okay, it's the secret time. I think we're like 40 minutes in, 30 minutes in.
Yeah.
Yeah. 40 minutes into the stream. If you are watching right now, let us know by dropping 100% emoji down in the comments. It hits engagement. It's easy. It helps us out, all that stuff. And I thought it was a clever way to let the ones who know. How do I say that? It's for those who know will know that you know. Does that work, Nick? I think he's flabbergasted here too.
I think you just got too lost in the sauce on the word no.
All right.
So let's move on. Let's get
out of the sauce. And I hope you're jazzed to talk about League of Legends, because we got to bring a quick update into that. We're kind of in like a weird in between section right now. Worlds hasn't started, but they're just finalizing qualifiers and regionals. So we can't do pick'ems yet because it hasn't opened. We're just finalizing teams to what we expect to see play. Play-ins are pretty solidified though already, right, Nick?
It's true. And also forget about everything Billy just said. It's T1 watch is what we're on right now. T1 watch. We're waiting for T1 to finalize their game and see if T1 makes it to Worlds. That's the only thing we actually care about. Anybody who's watching this or watching Worlds in general wants to know, will Faker smash his head up against the wall, or will he make it to Worlds? This is inquiring minds must know. Like
I've been smashing my head against this wall because I've been waiting for some sort of solidified information. And I've been trying to plan out. We're running 4 days after our normal recording time, and we still didn't find out until today, until just now, pretty much. So, Nick, right, I know you're kind of bouncing around. Where are we at?
The 25th is when Worlds starts. Okay.
Yes.
Like the games are going to start on the 25th. It's going to be the play-in stages. That's 12 days from now, almost 2 weeks, right? 2 Wednesdays from now, unless they say something else. And those are going to be the play-in stages. Play-in stages are pretty cool, and it's going to be a place where we get a lot of people from the opposite region. But we have a nice reveal that you can do for us for KT versus Fox, which was I haven't watched it yet, but I already knew this was going to happen, so I have no problem going into a spoiled game and watching this one. So like I knew KT was going to win. Like I want KT to make it to Worlds. I did not think that there was a shot that Fox was actually going to take any games off of them. But here we are. They did it, and it's great. And so we get to move on to the next thing. Now, the real thing is you can click it for tomorrow because it's Saturday is the last game for the LCK. It's KT versus T1, right? So if KT knocks out T1, like if KT wins, T1 is not making it to Worlds. So unless there's like something wacky.
Hold on a second, Nick. Hold on a second.
Don't make it to Worlds because KT won the last game.
Sorry, could you repeat that? You got a little robot there.
How am I getting robot-y, man? I got 300 down, 250 up. Anyway, so basically we're gonna go into tomorrow's game, right? I don't know if there was any update in general based on like points or anything like that. So it should just be that if KT wins, they're knocking T1 out of Worlds contention. Yeah. Right?
So is this a win and you're in? Is this a win and you're in for KT, or it's definitely a win and you're in for T1?
Yeah, definitely a win and you're in if you're T1. But I see. This is the problem with this whole year being in like flux is my brain is so mashed up with like the NA points, with the way that NA was doing points and now they're turning into a different region. So all the regions are really like messed up for me on their points or if they made it into Worlds or not, because like I would assume that the Esports World Cup champion who just dominated a bunch of people should just be given an invite to Worlds anyway, but it's not a spot there that they win that gets you an invite over, but it's usually the first two people. And I think T1 is in like they might end up in, this is like the third place fight if I'm correct, because my brain's not working today because it's 4 days past the realm.
Yeah. Well, I think just like here's like what Worlds is looking like currently, what the bracket we have already set up. But this is this play-ins? Yeah, this is for play-ins. Yeah, it's play-ins. So like T1's fighting a position to get into like the Swiss, right? Or into the knockouts.
Scroll down. So they are no, go back. Go into the play-ins. I didn't see all the people in the play-ins.
Oh, that was it, dude. That's all.
I just didn't see the Movistar R7.
Okay.
So FlyQuest, where is it? Where's my notes? Right. So FlyQuest got the number 1 spot, and Team Liquid got the number 2 spot. Right. So Team Liquid should be in the Swiss round, while FlyQuest gets the bye into the next stage after that.
Gotcha. Let me bring us into the dual cam so I can try to find Liquidpedia version of it for League of Legends Worlds. But it has been a little bit hard to follow, and I know LCK has been running a little bit late technically compared to all the other leagues. We had definitive sort of competitors and spots and positions and brackets already set up for the play-ins for a lot of the other regions. But here we go, Swiss stage. All right, let me see if I can. There we go. For the Swiss stage, we got Billy Gaming waiting, D+, FlyQuest, Fnatic. FlyQuest just pulled out that win, first place, right?
Yep. Completely. So that was the whole. Yeah. Like, are you gonna talk about that now? Are you gonna talk about that? No, I mean, like, it's super embarrassing, bro. It's super embarrassing. It's very embarrassing. It's very. Do you want to continue what we're doing here? You want me to
let's continue what we're doing and just leave it at that.
No, I mean, we'll talk about it after this, but yeah, go ahead.
We also have Fnatic, G2, Genji, Hanawa Life, Esports, LNG, Team Liquid, Top, and Weibo Gaming. Then we're also just waiting for, I guess, the play-ins, but this is the Swiss stage. These are the teams that are currently waiting. Let's see if I can scroll down to give it a bigger. No, that's okay. I'm messing this up already, but Nick, if you want to bring us into not just format, but like as far as the Swiss goes and what to expect, who's winning, who's popping in, etc. Your thought process on this,
dude. It's here's what usually happens. This is what I said it before, right? Like, I always say I don't like Fnatic. I have a little bit more vitriol when I say Fnatic, but it's all in good fun. Fnatic does really good at Worlds for some reason, right? So like they might make it all the way to the finals for no reason. I'm not even kidding. Not even kidding. Like these guys are like, they're not a dark horse, but they just might be a dark horse sometime randomly. They're literally like gauntlet engineering, bro. That's like they might just blow up.
We love to see those runs, though. We love to see those runs, but where does this? Where does T1 fit into all this, though? Because we were just talking about that make or break sort of Sorry, here's the right one. The make or break game happening for us tonight at 2 a.m., tomorrow 2 a.m., Saturday 2 a.m. if wherever watching a different point. What happens to the winner here? Where do they go in this?
So like basically let's see, where is my other thing? I sent it to you. Why don't you have it? Yeah, you suck. You don't have it, bro.
Listen, I called you handsome and you're doing this to me? Come on.
Yeah, no, I hear you. So look, that, like basically at the bottom right there, that you notice that there's just no
okay, that TBD spot.
Yeah, the TBD spots are all there. I mean, they'll probably fill them. They're going to be filled in by Sunday. Most of the TBD spots for those ones, but then there's still going to be 4. I'm assuming 4 of the people. Like, because go back to the plans, if you don't mind, good sir. Sure. Right here.
Yeah, I think there's 4 from the play-ins that are going to qualify into the knockout stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so it should be 4, and then there should be 2 people who make it, who are coming. Go to scroll down.
Yeah, no, I think it's one more.
So like it's one more. Yeah,
I think it's so basically winner of K1 or T1 go here.
Yep, right
kind
there.
Kind of wild that they they win, they're in, they actually get a break until the Swiss stage. They don't even get to like compete in this play-in moment. But I guess no, the other teams, this is where the other 4 are going, right?
Yeah, so this is where the other 4 are going to come from. But this is like, I always hated this because like for some reason, right? Like the 3rd team in America always gets tossed in with like the random regions. Like I'm not really random, right? But like they're not the prominent regions, right? Just like our 3rd squad like goes in there, and sometimes they wreak havoc, and sometimes they just play okay. But I'm never the biggest fan. I'm never the biggest fan of watching North American teams like in general at this. I really do enjoy watching like Game Esports like shows up like a lot of the time, and sometimes they don't even make it past like the play-in stages here. and you want them to go into the playing stages because not knockout stages because of how well the games were.
Yeah,
like just how good the games are. It doesn't really matter like who's winning and who's losing. It just matters if like the games are good, games are entertaining, if they are good enough to even watch, right?
Yeah,
and it usually happens. Like it's League of Legends isn't the easiest game to watch, but it's also not the worst game to watch as far as like a lot of esports are concerned. I know we were talking about this previously.
Yeah, right before we started recording, yeah, how games could be pretty difficult to watch because they're usually player-centric, player-focused. It's like trying to drive a rocket ship with the interface of a car.
Yeah,
it's
but like
doable,
everything has
the
same.
Yeah.
Yeah, in League, every single thing aspect of watching it is exactly the same as like when you play it. There's no changing anything for the most part. Like you can change size, you can change where some things might be placed,
Right.
but for the most part, it's everybody knows. They have a pretty good standard for the UI. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, it really comes down to how do you present that information that you don't have, that you can't see on a tab screen, right? How do you present that in a broadcast? How do you make that seamless, etc.? It's a struggle that's been happening for esports for years, everything from StarCraft 2 all the way to now. But yeah, Nick, I know we don't really have a lot to talk about with League of Legends, but do any final thoughts to leave us in here? I know there's a lot of like dark horse runnings we can see. We can see the elimination matches happening, the opening matches. We're rooting for T1 to push through so they get a bit of a break coming up. We talked about Fnatic going strong in the worlds. For some reason, someplace, somehow, they're able to pull together when it matters. Is there anything else you want to leave us off here in the final sort of week? Because like we're probably not going to be talking about this until we get into pick'ems and until we start like predicting and like speculating on how the tournament's going to go. So any like final thoughts about how this tournament's going to go? Any patch note messages? Any like meta sort of things to focus on?
All right. One second. Let me try to. I have two things. Okay. Two things. Directly to Team Liquid. Clean that shit up. Dude. Like losing the minions, bro. You need to lose a sponsor. No joke. Like Team Honda should be pissed that you lost the minions. You lost the NPCs in a MOBA game, bro. Like I'm pissed about that. It was such a stupid moment. But anyway, that's what happened there. That's what happened there. To clean that up, it's like
they've got 3 weeks to clean it up or to just fester in it, right? Like this could be the thing that kills them in Worlds, but it could also be the thing that fuels them into some sort of vengeance story where they come back like super buff. They did the One Punch Man, 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, kind of exercise to get here.
So one other thing, kind of for like Team Liquid, right? And I don't mean this in like, I actually thoroughly enjoy Appa, right?
What do you got? What do you got with Appa?
You just fucking cooked in the mid lane, bro. Going the Worlds, like you're fucking cooked, like you're fried. It's over. It's cooked. Like I really enjoy his play. I think he's a really good player. I think he's even good at this stage. I do not think he's a mid laner, and I think he needs to switch to support. I got like that's it. I thoroughly think that. I think he's great. I think he's got a lot of mechanics. Okay, he's got a good amount of mechanics. Okay, and I think he just needs to switch to support. A lot of players like go for like look at Reckless, like over in Korea, he switches from like a top tier ADC from EU and is a support for the B squad of T1 in Korea. Like, and his games are amazingly watchable. Okay, amazingly watchable. He's doing great. I think Appa needs to be switched to support, and I really think you guys should buy somebody quick for Worlds. I'm not joking. Like, I wish you could. Just grab somebody. It's like you're going against Faker, Chovy, Showmaker. It's a bad spot to be in that pool, bro. It's not going to happen.
Especially for where they're coming out of in that last stage, the summer stage and the playoff split. everyone knows their weakness in that. So Alba's got to step up, reinvent himself, which probably won't happen, or that switch up into roles and pick somebody else because they're coming for him. If they pick somebody up or they don't, people already know what works against them, and they've saw them bleed after going 7-0 in the summer split in North America, which is a big asterisk, of course. This is Worlds, not North America. Other teams are going to see that and they're going to push that again and again and again. So like, you're right. They got to change it up. Alba's got to step up. Alba's got to step up and make something happen and not choke the way he did, like you're saying, or they got to swap him into something else.
I'm not even saying he's choking. I'm not even saying he's choking. I'm saying
he's just getting diffed.
It's I don't even like that. I hate that shit. I hate it in game. It doesn't explain anything whatsoever, like at all. I get so frustrated with that stuff when it happens, like in the game, like mid diff, bro. Oh, like he's not. I will say that he's not good enough to be the reason why they win the game, but he's also not bad enough to be the reason why they lose the game. Is what I'm saying. As a support player, I think he could be the reason why they win the game. Unfortunately, they actually they don't need a support player because they have core JJ. That's the real issue, is that you're just like, you're just useless on the team. No disrespect. It's like, hate that. But anyway, so like that's what I got. That's what I got for like Team Liquid. I think like as our number 2 in North America, because you guys decided to let someone go ahead of you. That's fine. You open the door for FlyQuest. That's totally okay. Don't let me down at Worlds.
Right, I get it. You're saying that Appa is mid at mid. We're gonna move on from there.
Dude, you say it in such a disrespectful, hurtful way. Like that's not what I like.
I didn't say it. I'm just saying what you said, Nick.
No, I said he's a great player. He has good game sense, and I think he's just playing the wrong role. That's all.
Okay.
That's all. And I think going into Worlds, they need to come up with something that will shore up the weakness of that. Like he's not the best player on the team, but he will be going against teams where their best player on the team is in the mid lane. You know?
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. It's a fair concern, especially after the most recent performance and the most recent loss. That was kind of a joke. But they've got a couple weeks to figure it out. It
wasn't his fault. So, yep.
Wasn't his fault.
Then the other thing that I have for Worlds, because I don't think we have it yet. I didn't check the news today. But the World song, that's the speculation right now. Okay. Let's see what the world, like, I don't think that they released a World song yet for who's going to play it. And the rumor right now is, okay, so it's going to be revealed September 24th at 8 a.m. And the rumor is going to be Linkin Park, the new version of Linkin Park. It's supposed to be. And now here's the reason for it. Okay.
Yeah.
The name, there's, I think like the name of the song has been leaked. Or not the name of the song. Some speculation has happened where League of Legends, the account is following like Linkin Park on Instagram, and they're about to come out with a new album. And we know the names of the album. And I think one of the song names is like Heavy is the Head That Wears the Crown. Right. And so like this is what the guess is that Linkin Park and this unreleased track so far that we'll be releasing at the in very, very short time, probably after the 24th, right? We'll have a Heavy as the, but League of Legends actually responded to a bunch of their stuff by putting crowns up as like in their comments and stuff like that before anybody said like, oh my God, is Linkin Park going to be the person they were already out there? So it's probably a done deal that Linkin Park is gonna be our guest musical appearance, at Worlds, and they're always cool. In case you haven't seen that.
Yeah, the world songs are always a lot of fun. They put a lot of money into that spectacle, that performance. Some AR dragons, even etc. Be something great to look forward to. having a little bit of an internet issue here, so we're going to stand by real quick. In the meantime, I'm taking a look at chat finally because we've been talking about stuff. Brap, if you're still in chat, thanks for joining us. No, I haven't seen the new season of Rainbow Six Siege yet. What are your thoughts? What are you thinking? Did it just come out? We got to check into that, get some updates on that. We're still developing what our format is, what we like to focus on and talk about. But today we're talking about Overwatch League. We were talking about League of Legends, Worlds happening, Rocket League Championship, Worlds majors happening right now. So there's been a lot of like the end of season tournaments happening that we've been focusing on and talking about. So thanks for joining us. If you're still with us, shout out to Brap.
I do have something for that.
What's that?
Have something. Have you?
Hold on.
The new operators.
No, hold on, man. Hold on. I'm sorry.
Hold on.
Yeah, I'm getting robot voice, and I do think it's actually me on my side. Just kind of like something's drawing too much. So I just want to make sure that you're not robot voice. You're bouncing around. All right. What did you see?
The new operator. His name is Scopos, I think his name is.
Okay.
And he's he's a handicap operator. So he's in a wheelchair, but he actually controls 2 drones.
Oh,
right?
Sick.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that's kind of like Shroud's like tactical shooter game where you're Spectre, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. But if if one of them dies, you die. Like if you're in the bot, basically, like if you're controlling that one as you die, you're dead. Right. And you respawn and stuff like that. So, but yeah, he's a wheelchair operator. So that's fucked up sounding. Okay, let's scratch that with the way that sounded. He is a person. He's an operator who exists in a wheelchair because he's paralyzed, I guess. I don't know his story. But saying wheelchair operator made me feel uncomfortable, so I had to reword that.
That's fair. That's definitely fair.
So it does look cool. It looks super cool. And that one's supposed to be releasing off the new season, I believe. Oddly enough, there you go. What was his name?
Brap. Yeah. Brap.
There you go. Like I got something for you, big dog. I like the new operator. There you go.
All right. Hopefully the internet issues are behind us. I'm just a little confused too, because on my end it's showing that we're doing pretty good on the stream strength. We're showing pretty good on up and down. And I know you're saying you're testing your side. You're seeing pretty good up and down as well. But we'll push through and we'll move on to our next topic if you're ready to move on.
I am ready to move on. Yeah. I think I went over for everything that I had for Worlds.
All right. Yeah. Definitely looking forward to it, but we've got a couple weeks until that one, a couple week cooldown until the next time we talk about League of Legends and World Tournament. But it means we get to bring up our next tournament, our next topic, which is going to be the War Within's first raid launched this week, which means the first raid, race to world. Let me try that again. The first race to world first is launching as well this coming Tuesday. And of course, they've been prepping this for a while. They've been getting all this stuff ready because it's not something that just happens overnight. This is a competition where guilds race to clear the next raid, the newest raid in World of Warcraft as fast as they possibly can on the hardest difficulty. So you've got big organizations that put a lot of time, a lot of energy behind this to make a great event, but to get that first kill on that last boss and do it on the hardest difficulty. We haven't seen Mythic Dungeons Mythic difficulty open up yet. We've seen Mythic Dungeons just open up. We've seen heroic tier raids open up as well as normal this past Tuesday. And that's kind of where we're at. But we're going to give you a whole big primer, everything to expect, what it is, what's going on with this competition. What is the Race to World first? Because honestly, Nick, I know you agree with this. This has been one of my favorite esports to watch. It's been one of the most exciting, and it gets a lot of viewers now. And some people might not be up on it. What's going on? So let's get into it. All right. Here's just a quick Wowhead article, World of Warcraft Blizzard blog post about what it is. Basically announcing that the normal and heroic difficulties of raid are open. This kicked off this past Tuesday. And like I said, generally speaking, this esport, simply put, is who can beat the hardest difficulty first. Who can kill the last boss of the hardest difficulty. Mythic is time gated. That's the hardest difficulty raid. That starts this coming Tuesday. But the real race started months ago, weeks ago. Part of that means getting gear, getting money, preparing overall. And it's happening in the newest raid for the War Within, Nerubar Palace. I always have a hard time saying Nerubian type names and stuff. Nerubar Palace is the newest raid with 8 bosses, so a little bit on the lower end of things, and it's a pretty linear sort of race as far as the sequence of how bosses will go. So we're going to take a look here of what it is, difficulty, minimum, etc. We don't really need to worry about, but the raid bosses is specifically. Nick, are you still with us here? You're bouncing around.
I'm right here. I hate Skype. That's all. Anyway, let's go. It has to be Skype. There's not, like, if internet's working, everything's working, it's the actual application. But I'm here, right in the corner, right over here, pointing at. All right. I'm there. I'm here. I'm here for it.
All right, so we've got a total of 8 different bosses here in this raid. It's pretty sequential. You're going to be doing the first 4 bosses, and I believe the next 2 you have a choice between boss A or boss B. And they're just going to deliver all the different mechanics, but, you know, this is going to be one where one single boss can get in the way and become the roadblock for sure on it because of how sequential these bosses are initially, and some of the heroic mechanics are so far. Have you watched some of the streams have started so far with the preparations and the splits so far, Nick? Have you watched any of the heroic splits, any of the guilds prepared, any of the players building up their item sets for the different alts?
I only watch Max, bro. I only watch Max. That's it. I'm a Liquid stand through and through. I'm watching Max. Okay, I'm watching Liquid Max, baby, and he's gonna win and beat the other guys, which is Echo. But no, I haven't watched any of them like gearing up. I'm super curious to know like exactly the monetary value of the gold that is about to get wasted. Like that's like one of my favorite stats in this. It's just like they just wasted $10 billion in gold. Like in gold.
That's one of the ways they literally will hire people to gold cap 40 different people, just make gold in enormous amounts to be able to spend it now. I think watching the splits, I was watching Max. Liquid is giving out 250K for a run, and it's prorated per boss. So if you're doing 6 bosses, I think it's something like what, 40,000 gold per boss. But if you fill their group and you help them beat a boss, they're giving you 40 grand per boss, roughly, in gold. So they've been building this wallet for a while, and I'm pretty sure they've got designated people that will just make money for the guild. And I can't wait to hear how much they spend on, because we just hit Craftables week. We just hit M0 week. So it'd be really interesting to see how they're spending that money, where they're actually allotting that budget to.
Dude, seriously, I'm literally crunching numbers right now with like my brain just going off on a tangent. Like I'm really curious. The other thing that I'm curious about too is that how come we don't have the alternate arts of these bosses? Because don't all these bosses have like a secondary art in this expansion?
I'm not sure of that.
Or not all of them, right? Like the spiders. Any spider has a secondary art, right? Of a crab.
No, you're talking about, yeah, the arachnophobia mode. It's a setting in the game. Because this is a spider themed zone. This is a spider themed raid. It's a setting in the game. So I don't think they're putting that press picture out. They're still selling the press as what they intended initially. But you can go crab mode and do the crab raid.
Yeah, it's way better, man. Everybody loves crabs.
I thought, just as like a little bit of a side joke, I really did think that, what if somebody had a crippling fear of crabs? They don't, they just keep them as spiders, of course. But, like, what if I had a fear of spiders and crabs? That, like, I just can't play this game right now. They need a setting for that, too.
You call Maury Povich, bro.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's going to pull that Jerry Springer reference out on this one, but yeah, we have the 8 bosses here that's happening. Olgrax the Devourer, Bloodbound Horror, Sikran, Rashanan, Blood Twister, Ovi, Nexus Princess, and then we've got Anubarash, and I think there's a duel, the Silken Court, Anubarash and Skynspinner, Takaz, and then Queen Ansarak, who's been like a little bit of a mini big bad through the first part of this expansion, leading to whatever's going to happen in this raid story-wise. But as far as what I've watched some of the prep and the splits for it. It does seem that Nexus Princess is going to be one of those bosses that are going to be a pain in the butt, really gum up the works and push people out, really stop the flow of stuff. But I think that at least there's an alt split. You can, when you get to this part of the raid, you can choose to go to Brood Twister or you can go to Nexus Princess. But you know, I don't know if you need you need to beat both of them to get to the next boss or the next two bosses. I do know you need to beat Rushanan to get to these two though. So that might be the throttle, might be the bottleneck. But Nexus Princess, some of the mechanics there, oof, it was rough on heroic. It's gonna be insane to see on mythic difficulty.
Yeah, usually like the beginning is not too bad. But then we had like Shadowlands where we had what's his face before the jailer, right? We had Anduin, who was like a real gatekeeper for that one, and he was like, you know, and he should have been. He felt like a final raid boss at that time. So you know, hopefully some of these are pretty cool. Like I think like the Bloodbound horror is probably going to be like the mythic one, because I think it's going to be like the most. How do I put this? Like the one that's underestimated the most, probably. I think will be like the Bloodbound horror.
Interesting. That's kind of a, you know, it's not a stretch take, but like that's the thing that makes this a lot of fun, because when we're not going to know what the mythic mechanics fully entail until we get to mythic, when we have these people. And like at that point, you've got maybe 20, 30 people even seeing these bosses. And it's the first time they're being touched, first time they're being seen. Blizzard keeps that stuff deliberately secret. They don't test it. They play with some ideas. They don't tell you numbers. They're famously bad sometimes with like bugs, or famously bad with like, boss is unbeatable. I know Ian Hazakosis was one of the first players to like get to Cthulhu in vanilla when AQ40 released. And he was able to mathematically figure out that Cthulhu was impossible to do with the gear available and the amount of DPS and time it took before Cthulhu would kill you. And like, those are things that have been happening for the last 20 years of WoW in these raids, etc. And like between different mechanics, between bugs, between different situations and like, etc. That's another part that makes this so exciting. So yeah, maybe Bloodbound Horror is going to be the throttle check. Looking at the mechanics that we've seen in heroic so far, it does gum up a lot of pugs. It does gum up a lot of LFR that I've seen so far. Who knows what it's going to end up doing with the big laser beam and just like the skill check or DPS check that's going to need to happen there.
That one has the Unseen Realm, which is why I'm saying that. It's because it's the thing that people have to go into, and it's starting to give me like what is it? Oh my god, what the hell is it called? Remember in Uldor.
Okay.
Uldor. There we go. I said it properly now. Right. Uldor.
Champion.
So, yeah, right. Remember in that one there was no lights? Right?
Yeah. The
so,
what's
like,
his face? Yogg for no lights, right?
Yeah, Yogg, like, dude, it's giving me like, I'm having like thoughts of like it's gonna have something silly like that, like some old god stuff.
You know, but would they be doing that? Would they be doing that for a second boss in a raid? Maybe on Mythic, you know, it might. Yeah, I think that's something they'd maybe save for the penultimate or the final boss.
I think we're gonna have enough, like, you know, void nonsense that's like going on. So I think they can like litter it through like everything and like start hinting at it. Like maybe there's 4 raids, right? 4 full raid tiers. Who knows? And we have like a bunch of different like Cthulhu people. But the other thing that you said that I want to talk about, yeah, I'm gonna say it right here, bro. And this is no disrespect. Yeah, Ian, I love that stat, right? Like I love the stat that this man like did the math. And I'm just going to go ahead and say everybody who played World of Warcraft originally fucking sucked, me included. And I was in next. So I don't know his numbers were fucking wrong. Like,
I
no
know,
joke.
dude.
Like, they were definitely wrong because nobody was playing feral cats using filling up their whole inventory with fucking maces. Like, dude, I've been cursing so much on this one. It's probably because I'm sleepy. But, right? That's like, my point being is I would love to see that actual part of the game again, but like actually being played instead of like this patched 1.2 nonsense. Give me some of that really gritty stuff that people said they couldn't beat back in the day.
I don't know, man. I think you're not off base with like, everybody went into Molten Core with just greens. People didn't know how to play. They're building the specs on what they thought and felt was good. And a 40-man raid, most of the time, you had maybe about 10 to 15 people actually doing the work while the other 20 or 25 just kind of was there. They were just bodies to soak damage.
Or maybe a priest healer, a friend who's sleeping all the time as a paladin healer, right? And a person who played a druid who was always at work and had his little brother play as druid. Maybe raids were carried by that guy, that priest. Maybe a 40-man was carried by one person, bro. So like,
I don't know who you're talking about. I just don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know his name. I just know I played with him. Anyway.
But in that way too, just to push back a little bit, Ian Hazzikostas was a part of Elitist Jerks. Elitist Jerks was the premier top tier. And it's not to say that, we didn't know what we were doing back then. There was definitely that degree, but they were the ones who knew what was happening, what they were intending to do, how they were trying to play much more than the rest of the population. Even back when they didn't know what to do, they were still like top of the top on that.
Sure.
And Blizzard didn't know what they were doing either. But either way, yeah, it's only progressed further, and we're definitely it's definitely somewhere around Cataclysm. The raids definitely stepped up and actually got a lot more difficult, a lot more thoughtful and thorough. Not to say the ones before were garbage.
Billy's
I can't believe this, man.
We're dipping out. I'll disagree with Billy because Cataclysm was one of the easiest raids in the world until they patched hunters. Okay, like I hit one button. All right, like I'm not even joking. I hit one button.
I'm saying like as far as mechanics, somewhere around there.
I wasn't doing anything. I was hitting one button, bro. I was hitting steady shot, man. Like I remember it.
And you're the class that should be doing stuff. Like you're even as a pet class or just like as a marksman hunter, you should be the one running around doing all the stuff and the mechanics. Nope. But like that was around the time when they started designing bosses differently. They took bigger swings with some of the, bosses like Deathwing, those phases, etc. And some were like hits and others were kind of like blah. But like that's when they started looking at it differently. It wasn't a lot like as much tank and spank, debuff, soak kind of things. There's a little bit more complication and complexity to it. And that's something I'm sure we're seeing already. We're in Heroic Week. And this is, kind of to your point of Bloodbound Horror being the one that's going to throttle. I think Sikran is going to be the one in Mythic, the third boss of this raid. I think they're going to be the one that actually, because some of the mechanics, the debuff, etc. Other than that, I think Blood Twister might be with the infestation mechanic. You basically you drag this big worm around. People get debuffs, they explode. The debuffs need to pop on eggs. The eggs release certain types of mobs that you have to control and then beat. And then one of the type of mobs that just comes out with that is a group of little parasites that will infest players with a debuff and then spread. So like that already seems like a complicated dance. It'd be interesting to see how it continues in Mythic. Same with like a Sikran. So it'd be cool to see. And like, I'm really looking forward to how this goes. But I do want to speak to, cause we're talking a lot of WoW history here. I want to speak to the history right now with the Race to World First, coming out of the previous Race to World First, a Midrisil. Basically, I want to just highlight the competition here. Echo won a Midrisil in the Race to World First in Dragonflight, the last race to World First in Dragonflight. It's the last raid in Dragonflight. Banger of a raid. Some people would say some of the top raids ever made out there. Really good coming out of it. And Echo ended up squeaking out the win over Team Liquid. And it was a matter of like 8% difference, something like that. There was like that close on the final boss. And it stretched that pull and stretched that, not the pull, the push that each team and organization was able to make Nick, we talked about this a little bit before. Like, you know, how can you hype this current fight up by looking through this old battle?
I'll be honest with you. No, like this one's a lot different, man. We have hero talents in this one. Like I think that there's a lot like we're still gonna have some of the great things, but the thing that makes like a lot of the race to world first like watchable and unique for me is I'm really interested how far Echo took the 26th position or the 21st. Like what are these raids at again? Because like I can't even like keep it straight. Like, but like that extra man of like Max just like being the shot caller and everything like that. Like that's like the real hype and like how good is their shot caller and stuff like that. Besides that, man, like I can't get us hyped really on it, man. Because like you don't know what you're gonna see. Like we really don't know how hard or easy these bosses are gonna be. And
yeah,
it's the race to world first really like I don't want to say it's like the same thing. Like you know what you're gonna get, which is like you're gonna get bosses, you're gonna get like really interesting stuff. And as long as the visuals are not as cluttered as they've been in past expansions, like it's gonna be a really watchable, fun experience. I wish they had the gold count.
I do. Yeah, we need that gold count. Team Liquid, Team Echo, Method. We got to see that gold count. Let us know how much you're spent already. Maybe give us an update on Tuesday when Mythic's launch, basically. Mythic rating launches. Whatever it is, we want to know. But you're right. I guess that's a fair point. But that consistency is also, I think, why this makes it a great event. We're going to be racing. We know what teams are competing. This is a kind of event where random teams can compete. You get your best 20 bros come through and just like knock this out and just, but it is one of those sweaty gamer moments where you don't sleep for 4 days kind of thing. And like, it's a marathon, not a sprint kind of thing. But you're right in that we don't know what we're going to see until we see it. Already though, I can speak for some things. Like I can speak for some numbers. Let's go some world first already. And this is only through the heroic portion of this raid. I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit more so we can see the heroic version of this raid. The guilds that have finished heroic, the 8 of 8, the first one to do it, Last Exile, Blue Shoe, Fighting Penguins, Awkward, North Star, Twitch Prime. Some of these are names you haven't seen because the methods, the Echoes, the Team Liquids, the ones that you normally see in the Mythic world first. That's their race. World first Mythic. They're gearing up. They're doing splits. They're not focused on just nailing and finalizing the bosses here. They're just trying to get the gear. So we already know this is, you know, what we're seeing. We've had 1,600 guilds finish the first boss, 355 second, 444. And like, this one's kind of an interesting one. You have 1,200 people have finished the fourth boss, but only 258 have finished the fifth boss here. They've done 5 of 8. So I think that might be the difference of what's it called of Nexus Princess and that Broodlord, 5 and 6 here. So that might be a huge deal. Yeah. And then as you get right, number 2 spot showing off. And then to look at it just like kind of like in perspective for as far as the last here, guilds that have done 8 of 8, it's only been 24 guilds that have full cleared heroic. So like big number drop means that last boss is a doozy, going from 340 people down to only 24 guilds. Something we know, something we can kind of start speculate from the heroic side of things. Also from the heroic side of things, we could take a look at DPS numbers. It might be a little bit hard to see on your screen because this is a moving sort of a live animated what's it called, chart. But you know, just to kind of read it out, over the last 2 weeks, last week 2 weeks of doing this raid, we could see of all bosses what damage has been doing. A rough tier list. Take this with a grain of salt because this is just the initial findings in this raid. This is just the initial playing out, how people are figuring out. And this is all the different bosses. So AoE bosses, patchwork bosses, single target bosses. But Fury Warrior is coming out on top by a decent margin. 115 120 to 115. So like a 5-point differential here over enhancement shamans. Arcane Mage, close third. Outlawed Rogue, bring us out top 4. Then we have Ret Pally, Windwalker Monk, Marksman Hunter, Frost DK, Beastmaster Hunter, and Elemental Shaman as our top 10. There. Nick, are you surprised quickly? I know this is a little bit of hard of a graph. Are you surprised by this initial top 10 of numbers?
No, like not really. Like I'm not surprised by the top, and I'm not surprised by the very bottom. Like it's cyclical, right? Like World of Warcraft in general, by the first patch, Fire is a very like gear reliant spec. So by like in the beginning, it doesn't do very good, and by the end of the expansion, it's like lighting people's houses on fire through the internet. But like Fury Warrior is like warriors are the best class in this game. I say it all the time. They're the best designed class in the game. People can argue about it all you want, but like you probably never played a warrior. Like I've played every class in this game, like not at high levels, not at low levels. Like I've across the board, I've played a lot of these classes, like a lot of specs, and like warrior is the best for like flow, fantasy, and everything like that. So it makes sense. Like they're just well designed, and they're very they're figured out. Like warriors are figured out, right. So it's very easy for them to like slot into these positions where they're doing like really good DPS because they don't have to be worked on too much.
Right, it's one of those classes that are the most consistent. Them and mages. I know rogues have taken a bit of a hit with this one. People are talking in the pre-patch, but we have outlaw rogue here. Maybe that's the RNG of that, where you're rolling well into the buffs, etc., and through all bosses. But let's take a look specifically at like the bosses. You know, we'll start with single target with Olgrax. Olgrax is an interesting one where, you know, it is a single target. You have to do some dances as far as running away from him sucking you, running away from some webs and stucks, and then killing some ads and then feeding those ads to him because he hungers. But this is a single target boss predominantly. And at the top here, we're seeing BM Hunters take the cake, lead the pack here in Heroic so far. Outlawed Rogues taking that, then Enhanced Shamans, then Fury Warriors. So
not by much, right?
Not by too much, but it's still like a 5,000 point difference, like a 5,000 DPS difference, roughly. Maybe 50,000. I'm sorry, 50,000 DPS difference. But like in that way too, Fury, we've seen the power be in those AoE cleave sort of moments. And this is definitely not a super duper cleave. It's like moments of cleave kind of matchup.
Yeah, like the kit for them, like their rotation in general involves AoE even on single target. Like you just like, oh, you know, I'll just do this real quick. You know, like I got nothing else to do. So
right. And like the you know, Arcane Mage is still up there as a single target. They do have some decent cleave, but they're like not too far behind the Ellie Shaman and the Fairy Warrior. On the bottom of the pack here, Shadow Priests haven't been looking too good. Assassin Rogues, Feral Druids, Fire Mages. Fire Mages there at the bottom again. I think that's going to be a consistent thing we're going to see as Fire Mages are kind of suffering. And it might be because of the gearing, like you said, but it could also be because of their spec tree, like people saying it's not really fluid enough.
They're very high crit, like usually play styles. Like usually a lot of the gear involves crit, and early in expansion, they're not going to be like, let's just give them a lot of crit. Let's do it. It's just not going to be the case, enough. You know?
Yeah. All right. So let's move us into like another boss. I'm going to pick
the Blood Hunter.
Let's do Silken Court because I think that's an AoE one, and we can see how that changes things a little bit. I believe this is an AoE fight. We could double check that in a second, but Enhancement Shaman, Outlaw Rogue, Affliction Warlock, and then Frosty K. I think this is an AoE / like 2 main, like a council fight. So like that would make sense to why the Affliction Lock is up there. You're able to put dots on 2 different targets and just like boil them up easy.
Yeah, Windwalker monks are doing so. There's a pretty spicy thing with their with some of their hero talents right now where basically doing like a lot of AoE damage to like 8 targets. It's very powerful right now. It's cool. But yeah,
I'm gonna bring us to a fight that I know is AoE. Brood Twister. That's the one where I was saying with the eggs, the mechanic where you have to like
you
forcibly.
Just got a body.
All right, I'm gonna bring this over to Brood Twister Ovenox, where you know that's one that I know is predominantly AoE. That's the one with the mechanics of the eggs where you get a debuff that pops and then you need to pop eggs and that unleashes more mobs to the fight. So you need to control the mobs, control the fight, and far and away, Fury Warrior on top here by a large sum, at least in the first findings. We're talking about 250,000 DPS difference between first and second here. Fury Warrior and Outlaw Rogue. Then Arcane Mage is a number 3, which I'm a little bit surprised at, but I guess it makes sense with their cleave ability, Arcane Barrage. You know, Assassin Rogue's also getting a big jump up and step up into the number 4 spot for this boss. And we're going to finish out the top 5 with Marksman Hunters there. So like this being more of an AoE fight, we're kind of seeing who's got more of a strong AoE presence. But looking at this too, I think Fury Warrior is going to be getting the banhammer, the nerf bat soon because of how much of a difference in AoE fights, man.
No, they're just like, bro, this is the first expansion. It's Warriors, man. I mean, it's not the first expansion. It's the first raid tier. Like this always happened. Like Warriors are strong as hell on a regular basis, bro. That's why they're still the best. Like they're always really good tanks. Like they're always really good damage dealers.
I hear you on that. But like realistically too, like we looked at a single target fight and now here we're looking at like an AoE fight. Like this is too much. They were like neck and neck in single target and like doing top 4 stuff in single target. But here they are like just 250,000 damage more than the next one in AoE. Like this is
you're concentrating on the wrong thing. The wrong thing.
This is not okay. Blizzard's gonna see this and they're gonna tweak it.
They're gonna you know what they're gonna do? What they're gonna end up doing is making rogues do the most damage in the game in PvE, which means that they're just gonna make the game miserable for everyone who plays PvE and PvP. Okay, like so no one really ever has a problem with the warrior doing like crazy damage early on. Like they get one good weapon, they have rage, so they're fine. They're always fine, dude. They end up leveling out really, really easily in the next raid tier. Let them have some time to shine because the mages and the people who are like all those other classes need so much more gear. Hunters need more gear. Mages need more gear. Rogues definitely need more gear. They can't like warriors just don't need that much, dude. They survive on bare bones. They're warriors.
But like that's where I would argue push back because vanilla. In like the old style vanilla BC and Wrath, warriors were absolutely gear dependent. They were weapon dependent, etc. They, getting Shadowmourne was just a leaps and bound. Otherwise, they were trash in that expansion. And like seeing the Relive classic version live up to exactly the same thing. This is the last boss. Here's the graph for the last boss, Queen Ansaract. I don't know what the fight entails for this one. I haven't seen it yet. I've read a couple things, but I'm not entirely sure. Fury Warriors are again 250,000 more than the next highest DPS here. And like this is of course only 24 guilds have finished this, so this is a very small sample size. It's not really giving you a great visualization on what to expect. At least the other ones were a couple hundred. The first boss was 1,200 raids, 1,300 raids. This is only 24 guilds. This is going to incentivize guilds to take like 14 Fury Warriors and 14 Augmentation Evokers. Like that's what this is telling me. And like, that's what, it's not going to be that hyperbolic, but like, that's what this is telling me, man. So like the pushback is I've always thought of warriors as being gear dependent. Here they are just cleaving like champions, which is what they do, it's supposed to do. But like this gap is 2 gap.
I mean, think about it logically, man. If a guy doesn't know how to cast fireball, but the other guy over there has a stick and he knows how to use the stick, he's going to do more damage. Like that's it. That's just the way it's going to go. But like, I get the fear that you have in general of them taking over too much of the thing, but like, it's Fury, bro. Like, it's Fury. Like, what do you mean? I get it. Like,
you're a Fury sympathizer. That's fine. That's all right. I'm not saying
they don't do anything besides this, is what I'm saying, bro. Like, they don't do anything. Like, they don't have, like, this is all they got, is what I'm saying. You take this away from them, and like you gotta worry on your hands. This is what you
got some
like,
sad warriors. It's a tough thing to be, I think, and like it's only the first. We'll see how it plans out in Mythic. Maybe they don't have the survivability with the numbers, but I think with Bloodthirst they're able to. So that might be a crazy part about this and what to expect. What I do want to bring us into is a little bit of a what's it called? I want to demonstrate. Nick's disappeared completely. Let's see if we can get him back from his tiny screen. But I guess in this way, I'm going to monologue. We're going to run a game. We got it loaded. Let me make sure we're in a... Yeah, that's good. All right. So this is a web simulation of the raids. It's been made by Tactical Air Horse. They've been making these for every raid tier based on the heroic version mechanics since Shadowlands, the first raid tier, the vampire raid in there. And this, it's a blast. Hopefully the sound doesn't blow us out. But here's a little bit of the intro. You want to move around, do the thing, bring the volume down a little bit. There we go. And then let's get to it and hit play. So here you could choose any of the bosses except for the last boss and basically play through the mechanics here. So I'm going to pick the first boss. We're going to play through it real quick to kind of give you an example. So this is a place where you can work on your mechanics, move around. You have to dodge the webs, shoot the boss, do damage, and then you have to use the poison to clear the webs. So it's essentially teaching me all of the mechanics of the game as I'm doing damage to the boss as I'm playing it. Oh no, he's going to get me. He does a big voidy thing. Gotta dodge and avoid the dash and then kill ads.
This is one of the visuals is one of the things that like World of Warcraft it does need to work on when it comes to like compared to like even Final Fantasy. Like it doesn't look this distinct when you like in general when you watch like the raids and stuff like that. You know, it's somewhat difficult to figure out what's going on sometimes.
Right, and like this is one of those tools that a part of the community has made that hopefully helps all those. And like as you see, it's a way to play through it and get used to the mechanics of the raid. So back to menu. Wanted to share that little tidbit as we go into the full Race to World First. If any of those people out there watching want to check out maybe some mechanics, some of the struggles before they go into it themselves, you know. I know we've talked about that too. A lot of this can create more anxiety and fear of performance, etc. All right, Nick, at that point, I'm pretty sure we've got most of what we wanted to talk through and talk out. Anything else you want to touch on as we wrap up the Race to World First here?
Yeah. Aliens.
Whoa. Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
Go on.
I don't have anything. Yeah, you know. Now the only thing that I am excited to find out if this Linkin Park song is real. That's the only thing I have to end on.
I guess I do want to end on something else with the Race to World First, is that recently it was announced by NetEase that if a Chinese guild wins Race to World First, they'll be winning 1 million yen. Right? And I love the comment section here where it's ni hao, we are Chinese guild Liquid. Thought that was led by Maximum. I'm a little, you know, frustrated at the qualifier here as far as needing to be a Chinese guild, but can understand why, etc. But I gotta love the comments, having fun here down the bottom. Love to see this. I don't think traditionally we've seen a Chinese guild take place in this.
And we won't.
You know, maybe I know there's been some competition around it. There's been some competitive nature with that. But they kind of keep the brackets separately. They're not really disclosing like, you know, a transparency or information. So generally speaking, the big three, it's going to be Echo, Method, and Liquid pushing through, and then we'll have a handful of familiar faces and other wild card dark horse guilds that come through that are able to do this. But I want to leave us on that note too.
Hold on. Do you know how much 1 million yen is?
How much?
Is it yen? No, it's not yen, right? You said yen. Why'd you say yen?
Well, how much is that? What is that symbol?
It's not yen, dude. Yen is Japanese, you jackass. It's won, right?
Won. 1 million
no,
won.
Won is Korean. Won is Korean, bro.
What are we doing here, Nick? Come on.
You're fucking me up because you didn't like,
dude.
It's yuan, bro.
Yuan. Sorry.
Yeah, like,
1 million yuan.
That's a lot better than yen for sure, bro. You went from $7,000 to like $140,000.
Listen here, Nick. We would have filmed this on Tuesday. It would have been well prepared, but somebody's internet had to go out on Tuesday, and now we're having internet problems on this side. Like, all right, give us a break here, Nick.
Yeah, but no, it's $141,000. Like, so okay. It is a relatively decent amount of money for someone to try to get. You know, instead of $7,000. Yeah, even 50 grand would be pretty nice for winning this. But yeah, the qualifier for just being a Chinese guild winning the race feels bad, man. But okay, understanding. You know, maybe trying to push competition in that way, etc. We'll see how it goes. My bet, Nick. Actually, I'm gonna just say I think Echo's got something to prove, and they might want to double dip on this one. They've been pretty strong in the PvP aspect of it, in the Mythic Dungeon invitationals. So I think Echo is going to actually continue that streak and push into this. Liquid's been looking nice though. I've been watching Max as well and a lot of their prep and etc. But if you had to pick a team to pull out on this one as we wrap up, who do you think's taking first place? Who's winning the race of the world first? Team Liquid. No, it's gonna be. I would say Team Liquid, right? Like that's the team that I'm rooting for, that I want to have win. Method can just go home. Like, leave your toys here. Just leave. That's like that's all. Like. I've been that way since for what, 2 years now. I'm off Team Method. I don't care. I don't want to hear about him anymore. I'm good. I'm off of it. And then Echo. Hopefully Echo's just second place, right? First and second. And I'm hoping that it's longer than 5 minutes, longer than 10 minutes. Like I actually, because I don't actually consider that to be too much. Not that it's poor sport about it, but I don't think it's it's not really a devastating defeat. I think they're both it's like beating the boss at the same time, because how everything goes, just timing, time zones, this, that, and the third. I think that there's just, we could just leave it at 8 minutes. It's whatever, when they've been doing this for 12 days. Right. It's actually nothing as far as the percentage is concerned. So I do want a little bit more time in between, actually the winner besides the second place. Damn, I can't talk.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes, because we'll also see pull counters and who can make it there first. Least amount of pulls, most amount of pulls, kind of doesn't matter as long as you down the boss first. And definitely a lot happening. Definitely a lot to look at. Be interesting with it. In that way, Nick, 2 questions as final things wrapping this. Which class tops DPS charts as an overall? Are we going to stick with the Fury Warrior, or you think something else they're going to get nerfed and something else is going to kind of rise to the top or be able to perform better in Mythic grade tier? And second one is, which boss is going to be the bottleneck? Do you think it's going to be just a last boss fight, or you think it's going to be genuinely another boss?
So here's what I'll say. No, I don't think Fury Warrior is going to be the best DPS in Mythic. I think that it's just normal difficulty might as well not be a raid tier. I think heroic difficulty is pretty average as far as difficulty is concerned, and Mythic is kind of cracked, and there's really no in between. So I think that's why you see Fury Warriors being higher than others. Usually what happens is Melee is super punished on a regular basis on any sort of raid boss for the most part. They're usually extremely punished. So it would be pretty surprising in Mythic if throughout the whole raid tier warriors stayed, like melee stayed, which means that like they just don't bring range anymore. Like they can just smush through it. That doesn't really make any sense from a design perspective. So I doubt we'll see warriors really maintaining a full spot being melee. Okay. I say melee warriors, not melee, whatever.
Yeah. Well, okay, then the last kind of prediction. I kind of agree with that insight, and then I would say I think the Nexus Princess is going to be the bottleneck throttle. I think that Mythic version is going to just throw all the balls to the wall. And so I wanted to know if you had any predictions as far as that. If is it going to be a Queen Anserac last battle, or is it going to be like a 5th, 6th fight?
No, I think it's going to be 2. I think it's going to be the Bloodhound.
Okay, interesting. Very interesting. Very quick wall. We'll see how that plays out. This all starts officially on Tuesday, but you got to check out their streams live. They're doing splits, gearing up on heroics and delves. They're asking their community to be a part of their splits. They are kicking out people who underperform or sabotage. So if you're looking to have some fun trolling, it's not going to last very long. But either way, check that all out on their official Twitter. It's not Twitters. Their official Twitches. They're probably on their Twitters as well. Their YouTube channels, etc. And check back with us next week as we keep you updated on the official launch of the Mythic raids and see how those kill counts go. See who gets there fast and first. All right. Well, Nick, any final thoughts? Thanks for joining me. This was a difficult one, but any thoughts to send us out on?
See you on Tuesday.
All right, you heard the man, short and sweet. I'm taking back and rescinding that he's handsome because he said some very nasty things to me. No, but thanks for joining me today, Nick. Thanks for joining us. If you managed to stick through some of the technical difficulties, love to hear from you. You can follow us at the Esports Meta on all your favorite social media, or right here on Twitch and YouTube. We're live every Tuesday normally, barring any technical difficulties, but we usually reschedule if we're not. You can find us all there. It's been a pleasure having you, a pleasure talking about us, talking about this with you. That's all we got here. So that's it for the Esports Meta. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.